What's up, everybody? Doing another live broadcast discussing the housing market. Today is January 10th, 2025. I'm here with Tim Murphy, my faithful lender and friend. And we're going to talk about the housing market and its current status, the brutal reality of today's housing market, and then what to expect for 2025, and some things that you might want to consider if you are thinking about buying. So, Tim, how are you doing, sir?
Yeesh, it's been a little cold outside there, Brian. I tell you what, a little slow these days, man. It really it started petering down for some odd reason, and more importantly, interest rates are going the other way, man. They're going up. What's that all about?
That's
Yeah,
your some odd reason is the interest rates are going
yeah.
up. And for people that don't understand, because I get this all the time, people assume that because the Fed dropped the rates 4 times last year, and they're also anticipating dropping it up to 2 more times this year, that means rates are going to go down, 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 down. And then here we are, national news, bankrate.com,
What's
rates
the average rate?
are 7.08% nationally for a conventional loan right now.
Dang, man. I believe that too. I totally believe it. Yeah, yeah.
So I don't think people have a proper appreciation or perspective for how expensive things are right now. So let's just use some national numbers and keep in mind that not only is the house prices higher in the Washington D.C. area, I will also say incomes are higher here as well. But just to give you some context, like houses are about double what they used to be. Housing is double what it used to be in 1965 when adjusted for inflation, meaning that how much money the average family makes, how much money the average home costs when you factor in a mortgage is double. And it is to a place where it's actually the worst that it's ever been. It's not just double, but it's the worst that it's ever been. So
The
here's
last
the
30
numbers,
years,
Tim.
Brian. Yeah.
Here's the numbers. So the national median family income last year was 97,800. So Tim, you're a numbers guy. You got your calculator out?
Got it here, man. You rock it out, brother. 90. What
All
was
right.
it? 90,000?
97,800 comes to 8150 a month. This is for household income, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
I like to kind of remind everybody that is your gross adjusted income. If you live here in the fine state of Maryland and you're
Right.
making $97,800 as a family, you're probably paying after state and federal taxes, what, 25%, Tim, somewhere in there?
25, 30%. I mean, the state of Maryland's 8%, right?
Yeah. So let's just keep it at
Yeah.
25%. Then your
Okay.
actual take home pay is $6,112 a month. That's how much you bring home.
There you go, man.
So every time you read an article about mortgages, you're always reading about this 20% down. So I have been in the business 15 years. Tim's been in a couple more years over that. But in the 15 years that I've been in business, 5 years as a lender, 10 years I'm coming up on 11 as a real estate agent, I can count on one hand how many people saved up 20%.
It's a huge rarity. You and I both know that. I mean, it doesn't exist.
Right. So if you sell a house, you put 20% down. But if you don't sell a house, you're not putting 20% down. So most people are going to go into a FHA via USDA. The second most popular mortgage is FHA. Okay. So if you were, and the other number is $406,100 is the median house price in America. We know in here in DC, it's like 5, but again, income's higher. Let's just use those numbers. Okay. $406,100.
What's the median price here, man?
Well, in the Northeast, which I would consider the DC market to be, it's like 530,000. But let's just use $406,100 on an FHA loan.
Yeah.
With taxes and property, with property taxes and homeowners insurance. I'm looking at about $3,400 a month.
Dude, right on the money, man. I was just calculating it. I was like, "How the man has not lost his touch." What the heck?
Look at this guy.
Oh, yeah.
I may or may not have done that before we did this video, but like I'll edit that out. Okay.
Well,
so what is $3,400 when compared to $6,112? What percentage is that? It's like 60%.
Dude, yeah, that's disgusting. It's 55% of the income, man. That's nuts.
And are you going to get a loan at 55% front ratio?
Well, that's not the front ratio. Remember, the front ratio would always be 3,400 against the gross.
Oh, the gross. Yeah, I kept
And
thinking
the
about
answer
that.
is, yeah, I can still give you a loan.
Yeah,
No
you
problem.
could get a
Yeah,
loan with this.
sure.
But the
So,
reality is, even if you could get a loan, more than half of all the money you make is just going to your mortgage payment. That doesn't include
no,
your electric bill, your gas, your
HOA
entire
fees,
life, right? You got
water. Oh,
groceries to
yeah.
pay, you got maybe car pay, and that's a
Telephone, cars. Oh, my God, yeah. Dude,
yeah.
it's crazy. Oh, yeah.
So that's not realistic to think
No,
that if you make $100,000, you're going to get an FHA loan on a $400,000 house. Theoretically, you could do it,
yeah.
but when 55% of your income, your take-home pay is going towards your mortgage, that's crazy.
So how are people going to do it, Brian? What are you seeing in the marketplace? Yeah.
Well, so my advice that I gave to everyone, if you're buying a house in 2025, is to buy a house that has income producing potential. And I know that's a very low percentage of sales. I'm talking to
Whoa,
a
whoa,
very
whoa, whoa, whoa.
yeah.
Every house has income producing potential. Don't say that's a rarity.
It's a
How many
rarity. How
how
many
many
people?
bedrooms in a house? Okay, if we have a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house, right?
So potentially yes, but how many times do people actually do it? And the answer is very
Okay.
few. Okay.
But we're talking
So
about house hacking, right? I mean, being able to rent a room out.
yeah.
Yeah,
Now
okay.
people that my wife, my daughter just got married last year. The idea that she was going to have some dude living in the bedroom next to her, like that's
Not
not
so
happening.
much.
Like
No,
even another girl, she had a friend living with her for a while. It's fine for a while, but like to think that you're going to set that up is just not. It's not real. So a basement apartment,
Mhm.
check. 3-car garage with an apartment over it, check.
Damn.
A
She got
house.
a house with a basement
No,
apartment and
what?
oh
Well,
no, if it did. Oh yeah.
yeah. So the house that she bought actually had a 2-car garage with an apartment over it, separate outdoor entrance. It was built that way. It was zoned
Wow.
that way. There's a separate meter. It was all set up for it. So they're making $1,200 a month there, but they also have a detached garage that they're renting out for a couple $100 a month to a construction company who's using it for storage. So that would be my advice for anybody who's like, what are we going to do? Like,
You're right.
I
You're
would
right.
say buy a house that's got a barn that you can rent it out, buy a house that's got a basement apartment that you can rent out, that's got some other way to make money on your property. And then
Yeah.
say, hey, you know what? Okay. Your delta that you're trying to cover here is $1,500 a month, and you figured it out. There's going to be a time in the not very distant future where you're going to make an extra $1,500 a month at your job. One of you guys are going to get a raise, or you're going to get a raise. Somebody's going to get a raise just through inflation. Your mortgage payment's going to stay here. It's going to go up a little bit with the property taxes, but your income is going to go up, and then you'll get to a place in a year or two or three where you're making an extra, $17,000 a year that you can afford to keep everything the same. And then now, make the basement back to your man cave that you had originally planned for it, or continue to rent it out and stack the money, whatever. But that would be my advice. Now, the other option would be to buy a fixer upper. And most people that call me want a fixer upper don't have the background and knowledge and sort of expertise to understand exactly how to do that. And most people assume the only option is something called FHA 203K, which is a great option, but there are other options. This is your segue, Tim.
Oh, excellent. Very cool. So, yeah, I mean, FHA 203K by far to me is the best. I mean, honestly, it's going to give you the maximum flexibility of what you want to do, and it's a primary mortgage, great rate, the whole 9 yards, right?
Yeah.
You've got a conventional home style. That's a little bit of a different type of renovation product available. You and I both know, though, the other programs allow to do an escrow holdback, right? To hold back repairs, things of that caliber as well, like a USDA loan. If the house were to appraise for more, you'd be able to incorporate certain repairs, new roofs, appliances, et cetera. And we've done that before. You and I we've banged it out of the park with those kind of things.
Yes. So the idea is that most people go to like everybody knows a realtor, not everybody knows a lender. So
Mhm.
a lot of times you walk into your, savings and loan, or you call, 1-800-mortgage, or you go to Navy Federal or something like that. And you have a very limited access to different options many times. Like one of the things people don't understand is if you go into what's a good comparison, Tim? You go into an insurance agent, everybody's got life insurance. Most people have term life and the other one,
Term
and
life, whole life, right?
whole
Yep.
life. And the rates for car insurance or homeowners insurance are kind of flat. But when you go to different mortgage companies, a lot of times they have completely different products that could give you options that
Correct.
the other ones just don't even offer. There's things like, if you're self-employed, did another video on that. There's like multiple self-employment
Mhm.
programs that you can't get from some. There's, for instance, Tim being and what do you refer to yourself now as, Tim? Are you a mortgage banker? Are you what is the term we use for the type of lender that you are?
I like to think of it as a mortgage strategist,
Yeah, but like
because
from
that's
a
what it really
technical
is.
perspective, you got savings and loans,
Yeah,
you got
independent mortgage banker.
credit unions, and then you're a
Yeah,
mortgage banker. So a
yeah.
credit union or an out-of-state lender doesn't have access to some of the local
Correct.
local state and county grant programs that Tim does. So Tim has access to, and he participates in, like down payment assistance, closing cost assistance, low interest rate specific mortgages that are only offered if you participate in these programs. So
Correct.
that's what I'm trying to say is you really want to make sure that you're looking at what your different options are and you're working with somebody who can give you those different options. So let's talk about some of these fixer upper loans, Tim. Let's talk about my favorite one is the Cash for Keys program. That's not technically a fixer upper loan, but it could be used as a fixer upper loan. This is for somebody who already has a house.
Yeah, so Cash to Keys is a great product because it allows you to buy a home basically non-contingent
Yeah.
when you have equity in your current home. But and we've talked about this before, where clients are hesitant about trying to get their house sold because the house they're selling needs work, right? And so, yeah,
Or you can't find a house to buy because the biggest
correct,
problem is there's so few houses to buy. And then it's like, well, I waited 6 months because I didn't see anything come on the market. Now this one comes on the market, but my house isn't ready. And
correct.
theoretically, the only way to buy it is I'd have to go put an offer in and say, by the way, I can't afford your house until I sell my house. My house isn't ready to go on the market, or even if it is on the market, it's not under contract. Your like leverage in that situation is like this. So if it's
It's
one of
down the
those great
tubes, right?
houses, you're cooked. So it's probably my favorite program. What's your favorite fixer upper program, Tim? Like what's your favorite renovation loan that's not 203K?
Oh, dude, you're killing me. With the new one that's out there is the fix and flip product, and that one's actually more designed for investors, and it's actually a regular loan. It's not hard money. It's not a private loan from that standpoint, and it's for active flippers. The reason I like it is because it's only 10% down on the sale price, and then they'll do up to 100% of the replacement. The cost to do the
Mhm,
improvements, right?
mhm.
So I'm actually have a father right now who's using this program, and he's buying houses, fixing them up, and selling them to his kids.
So what is the prerequisite that would categorize you as an investor? Do you have to prove
Yeah,
that you've done this before? Do you have to have like show them your toolbox or your truck or
typically they want to see that you have your home improvement license. You've got to be licensed to be able to do the work, which makes sense. Number one, and then they'd like to see you have some experience.
MHIC or just home improvement license or
Maryland Home Improvement License,
okay,
yeah,
so yeah,
MHLIC.
you got
Yeah, so that's
MHIC.
typically what they're required. Number one, right? And then
So
number
they
two,
won't lend it
yeah,
to you if you have a brother who's MHIC or your best friend's MHIC. They're only going to lend it to the license holder.
correct. If you
Okay.
want to use the fix and flip product, but like I said, the dad's buying these houses up. He wants to get the kids. He realizes the market is very challenging, so they're finding the house that they think is going to have some equity in the property, buying it, doing the improvements, and then turning around and selling it to their kids. And when they sell it to their kids, they're doing an FHA sale. This is kind of cool. FHA allows them to do an equity gift, so there's no down payment required. And then the seller's paying all the closing
Nice, nice.
costs.
That's a
So
guy who like contacted Tim sat down and strategized, thought it through, executed. Hats off to you, sir. That's a
Yeah,
fantastic
it's
idea.
it's a home run because they're buying a house with equity, right?
Yeah.
And that house, you and I both know, when you're seeing a house like that, it's being overlooked. It's on the market for 120 days. There's a lot of opportunity there for those kind of homes.
All right. So outside of that, if you don't have your home improvement license, what's your second favorite non-FHA 203K fixer-upper loan?
Well, the limited fixer-upper I like is a USDA loan with an escrow repair.
That's my favorite too.
It's a rock solid, but it doesn't allow for structural. It doesn't allow for major issues that are going to prevent you from living in the house, i.e., the septic is shot, i.e., it needs.
There's ways around all that.
Yeah,
there's ways
there
around.
There are. There's always,
that's where you really got to have the team together that has some creative strategies where maybe you get the septic company to agree to do the repair after settlement, or they do the repair to get paid after settlement, or you'd figure out different ways around it. And that's where you can really help somebody in a way that just isn't available. You call like a Redfin agent, nothing against them. They're fine people, but
they just don't have the products. And they don't have the expertise.
Exactly. Yeah.
Someone told me that consulting is free, but expertise is priceless.
Amen.
And I think that says right there. That's why when you work with a team, like Brian, like yourself and myself, we know how to approach a problem, resolve the issue, get you into the home.
I was just going to say, just to break that down, USDA is a no money down loan.
Yep,
and normally there is a set of guidelines that says the house has to be in a minimal condition. So you have to have floor coverings on all the floors. You can't have a house where the carpets are ripped out. You have to have all the appliances there. You can't have any plumbing pipes sticking out of the wall where somebody ripped the sink off the wall in the bathroom, or they ripped a cabinet off the wall in the kitchen, and you just have this like brown mark where there's no paint. That has to be done. However, you look at it, you're like, man, all this needs is this, that, and the other. This is what's holding me back. There's ways to figure it out in order to be able to do that. So I would say if you weren't going to buy if you were not going to buy a house that has income producing potential, my second best advice would be to buy a house that is a fixer upper to do the minimum fixing up you need to do to be able to get in the door, and then do the rest afterwards with your own, people, your own time, your own dime, your own resources, in order to be able to get that low mortgage payment. You want to buy good bones, and then you're going to have to put some sweat into it. It's either that or you're going to have to pay an incredibly high mortgage. What do you prefer? To me, I would rather buy a fixer-upper right now. At least I feel like I know that when this is done, I'm going to have the equity that, everybody else has been feeling, but I'm not getting right now, because house prices are not going up like they used to. They're not like these investments that are going to see 10% return on your investment every year. We're looking at like 2.5% next year.
I might go a little higher. It's just me.
7% interest rates, Tim, are just going to keep everything like this.
I think we'll still see 3 to 5% appreciation, just because of the change in the market. But that's still.
I mean, that's not anything like to get excited about. That's just barely going to keep up with inflation.
So let me balance this out. You said USDA.
Yeah.
And VA offers a $50,000 escrow repair holdback as well. So we don't want to forget, for our military personnel, you have the ability to incorporate repairs as well. So sometimes USDA is one option, VA is the other option, if you don't want to get into a solid rehab loan like an FHA 203K or a home style renovation loan.
So you go no money down, and then you can get up to 50,000. So what do they have to do? Appraise the house for 50,000 more after the repairs?
Has to appraise with the projected repairs that you're going to make. So let's say it's $400,000. It's got to appraise for $450,000 if you want to incorporate those repairs. That can be done.
So it has to appraise as is for $450,000?
That's appraise, assuming current condition plus the improvements.
Okay, so how do they verify that you did the improvements?
They're going to require here it's going to be done. The work's going to be done by independent home improvement contractor. So
like a 2 or 3K type thing.
Similar, yes, but remember the repairs have to be minor. They're never going to be structural in nature. They're going to be, hey, I got to replace the roof. It needs new shingles. Hey, we have these 3 windows got to be replaced, or as your case may be, hey, you know what? We're missing all the floor coverings. We need all new carpet throughout the house because they just tore it out and sold the house as is. So yes, correct.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think that's a
So
fantastic idea. And the point is, guys, like we're getting in
yeah,
the weeds here. We're getting very technical. The point is you really need to make sure you're working with somebody who has access to these products and has
correct.
the mind and the willingness to do it. Because most lenders, most real estate agents, they just want to kind of keep it simple and just
Yeah,
let's just get the loan, go to settlement, be done with it. These kinds of things drag on for months, and the involvement level is like way, way, way higher. But the point is you got to be able to help people out. And if somebody has that need for that specific thing, we can solve that problem, or you got to find
and
somebody who can.
that's the key right there because those that are going to succeed today are solving problems, Brian. That's all it is
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
You're not going to win unless you're solving a problem, coming up with a solution, coming a way to get the client into the house. And you and I both know this. Pouring 20% down into a home doesn't make sense when you can put in 5% or no percent and then use those resources to do the improvements after the fact. And then, Brian, you also said, and I've always believed this, that your first home is a stepping stone.
Yeah.
You've always said that don't get so focused in on this is my permanent house because what's the reality, Brian? Someone's going to stay on their first home.
Well, nowadays it's much more of a reality. So people used to move every like 5 years. Now it's up to 10. So you might be there for 10 years. You want to think about it.
It'd be kind of cool. There's so much opportunity out there, man. The nicest thing is, as rates go up, there's less people buying. Less people buying, that's more closing help, it's more opportunity.
That's the good thing about it, Tim. It softens the market, and that was my last piece of advice is what was the number, Tim, last year, the amount of fallout? Was it 15 or 30%?
30%, man.
30%. 1 out of 3 deals was falling apart.
Yeah.
So my interpretation of that is buyers are so aggravated. They're so just exhausted that they're just waiting for one little thing to happen, just one last little flick in the ear for them to say, you know what, I'm done. I'm not doing this. Like, I'm so aggravated that I'm paying this much. I'm so aggravated that the seller is not making the major repairs. All I want them to do is just this one thing. And when they say no, I'm out of here. I'm done. And it happens quite a bit. And sellers have been pre-programmed to think, well, I don't have to fix anything. That's,
Sure.
not my
Right.
problem.
One last thing, we're also seeing a lot of agents go on referral. And remember, you really want to be focused on a full-time agent that's just out.
Well,
there
that certainly
crushing
can't
it
happen
out
fast
of
enough.
Texas.
And if anybody wants to go on referral and send me their clients, I do pay healthy referral fees.
There you go. Call the
Let's
man.
go.
Exactly
I'm
right.
not quitting, bro. I'm in this to
For the
win
long
this.
haul.
2025 is my only source of income. Tim's only source of income.
Amen.
We will get it done.
I just got to figure something to do with this hair, Brian. It's getting out of control,
well, I'm
man.
saying, bro, I
Seriously.
didn't wear my hat today. Me and you are it's tricky, bro. It's tricky.
All right, man. As
All right,
always,
Tim.
have a good one. Talk to you soon.